ran out of beets for the juice I'm about to make. Luckily, we've got this guy growing. Not a bad sized beet. I got a spot I desperately need some green biomass. It's kind of letting this area not grow anything right now so that it can rest. Usually I put the corn right here. Gonna build some nutrients there. Also, I have found that shaving beets into my salads is really good. So I like to keep some of this to hold on to when I shave it off, like you would with the carrot, the skin. As they get smaller and smaller, they're harder to hold on to. So I keep a little bit on there, but that's not what's happening right now because this guy is going to go half of it into the juice. Come to think of it, I do shave a little bit of that off for the juice as well because it takes away a lot of the earthy flavor. So it's just good to keep these on there while I do that as well. And I just open up this window and shave them out, the carrots, the beets. I typically cook with store-bought celery and juice the celery that I grow. Although I could cook with it, it just has a really strong flavor. Nutrients. Don't mind a little bug and imperfection. It's not true organic if it's not a little imperfect. So this is generally the juice I have most of the time, but I am encouraged to make other juices to switch things up a bit. But I use beets, carrots, green apples, celery, and then I like to put the lemon to take away some of the flavor of things, especially in some of the green drink. A lot of the time I either put this in the compost or on the ground just to give a little area some nutrients, but today I think the worms are going to enjoy it. That's why it's convenient having that window there, because I can just dump it out outside sometimes as well. The perfect. Sometimes it can still be overly earthy flavored and not taste so good, but that one actually is really good. So don't be discouraged if you feel like maybe buying this stuff to juice is too expensive and to not even try at all. Even just 1 to 2 juices a week is going to go a long way in your health. Even 1 juice a month. Even 1 juice a year. But don't be discouraged just because the price might seem like it would be a lot. People sometimes will make that excuse to not even try, but then go spend a bunch of money on a bunch of dumb things that are bad for their health, like going out to eat at restaurants and buying a bunch of alcohol and having a bad night and doing something that you regret. This is much cheaper. And there has been times where I've made either too much juice or it's a bit too strong and you don't want to drink all of it. Instead of just pouring it down the sink, I just put it outside. It's pretty good for the soil. It all just regenerates itself. It goes into the ground, turns into food, which is just energy, and then that energy becomes mine, sustaining my health so that I can have quality of life for many years to come, instead of already sputtering out at 41, like many of my friends and people I know are doing. I have about 20 to 30 more years till I even start sputtering out. God willing, at least. I could get hit by a car tomorrow, so nothing's guaranteed. There's actually a few uses for lemon peels, but today, soil. Yay, look who's up. He goes straight for the butt. Why do you do that? Huh? Why do you like to do that? It doesn't smell good. I'm going to be making some edamame noodles with some carne asada meat with a little bit of these vegetables. Someone wants something. You're such a beautiful man. When cutting, one thing I've learned to prevent this unevenness that can happen is just move it over onto a towel and it prevents it. And I'm sure it's something many people know. It was new to me. Now it doesn't do it anymore. Revolutionary. There's not much for you, buddy. See if you like that. Wow. You eat anything. He's playing with the baby tomato. So I've been cooking some of the vegetables in here for a moment, and what I like to do is I put the meat down right here, cooks for a bit, blend them together, and the flavors are really, really good. And I'll also be doing that after I heat up the edamame, adding the meat flavor to them as well. Very delicious. It's got a little bit of that searing action going on. Love that sound. Put some paprika and other seasonings, a little skosh of lemon. So all those meat juices are going to be spreading with the noodles and that vegetable mess I've got going on back there. Try to cook everything in less pots so there's less mess. Something I've learned after making a kitchen full of mess. Just a second. So with tomatoes, I like to heat them up and get them going for a few minutes. They'll be going into the batch too here in a second. I usually do it with the tomatoes not cut, but sometimes when you don't have enough tomatoes, you gotta make a bit more. Most of the meat I put in here, just put the tomatoes in. And then I'm going to save that guy and finish cooking it. It should be cooked, but I'm going to cook it a bit more in a moment for another meal. Now in will go the edamame. And we mix it in. My secret ingredient in many things, I'm going to put it in to add a little fat and some cream to the meal. And just a little bit of milk. Are you okay with that? Does that make you happy or sad? We'll find out. So for about 15 bucks to make, and I added a little bit of greens, spinach, and some other celery, purple celery thing. And I added a little bit of greens, some spinach, and some purple lettuce. And the final touch, a little bit of healthy fat. So for less than $15, I was able to make something decently healthy. It's about 5 servings, $3 per serving or less. You can't go to anywhere in town. Go try to find something decently healthy and decently good around town for that price. You ain't. Bon appetit time, Prancer. Jealous much? You waited patiently enough. Carne asada. That was surprisingly more than edible. So I got just enough time for my day to go do a couple of things out in the garden. Usually when you don't have much time, you got to do the most important things, but like anything in our lives, there's always 100 things to do. So I'm trying out an experiment with the strawberries. I've noticed that when you get them from the store or from people selling them on the street, they're red, bursty red, or big, bursty, and red. And I have to pick mine a bit early or bugs start getting to them. So I want to see if, like tomatoes, they will turn redder and even perhaps get a little more tastier. Let me know if there's a way that you like growing strawberries that works all of the time, every time. Because mine's just mostly used as ground cover, but I still pick the berries, don't get me wrong. Cleaning as we went today wasn't quite what we were able to do. Usually that's what I try to do. These messes are quite annoying. So a lot of people decide to not cook, to go out and eat, to spend more money, to let people touch their food, to eat the food that isn't particularly any good for you most of the time. The need of doing dishes and the annoyance isn't as annoying as spending more of your money, eating unhealthier food, and the consequences of being unhealthy. Doing the dishes is something healthy people have learned needs to get done, just the same as healthy people generally have learned to cook their own food. Healthy people a lot of the times are just good cooks because they know the importance of cooking their own food. And sometimes a lot of dishes and mess comes along with that.